Okay, so when you think of an athlete, like really at the top of their game, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Is it the pure power, maybe that incredible speed, or, the sheer endurance?
Yeah.
Or maybe you picture that amazing dunk, or the winning goal, right? Or just the grit of crossing a finish line. We get so caught up in the physical side, don't we? The stuff you can actually see.
Absolutely. We focus on the body.
But what if that's not actually the most important muscle they have? What if the real driver, the powerhouse, is something, well, something invisible?
Exactly. That's the point. The physical stuff is undeniably crucial, obviously, but maybe the most powerful muscle, the one we often miss. That's the mind. Specifically, it's about emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence, okay.
Yeah, and our source today, the athlete's emotional intelligence, a life superpower, it really digs into this. It's not some vague idea. It talks about 5 key pillars. Self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills. These aren't just nice to haves. They're like fundamental for consistent elite performance.
Right, and that's really our goal for this deep dive, isn't it?
Yeah.
To unpack how this emotional intelligence isn't just some secret weapon for athletes.
Oh, yeah.
It's framed as a fundamental life superpower, something valuable for pretty much anyone trying to navigate, well, life.
Absolutely.
So we want to explore what these pillars actually look like in practice and why they matter so much, whether you're, competing for a championship or just dealing with your everyday challenges. So let's dive in with that first one, self-awareness. Because the source really emphasizes that at the highest levels, physical skill kind of plateaus, everyone's good.
Exactly. It becomes the differentiator.
It's more about how athletes handle the massive pressure or, bouncing back from failure, dealing with self-doubt. We've all seen athletes kind of just crumble, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately.
The book says the self-aware athlete understands their emotional triggers. How do they actually develop that insight, especially like right in the middle of a game?
Well, what's really interesting is how that self-awareness then directly links to the next pillar, self-regulation. So an athlete with high EI doesn't just feel upset or frustrated after a mistake. They actually recognize it. They see it as, okay, this is an emotion, it's temporary, it's not who I am.
Ah, okay. So they don't get swept away by it.
Right. The source talks about avoiding what it calls the shame spiral. You know that feeling? Where you make a mistake and then just keep beating yourself up about it?
Oh, yeah, the downward spiral.
Exactly. It can totally paralyze you. So instead, they use this strategy. The book calls it reframe and reset.
Reframe and reset. I like that.
Yeah. So they acknowledge the feeling first. Then they look at what happened objectively, like, what can I learn here? And then they deliberately shift their focus, reset for the next play, next point, whatever it is. Clear head.
Okay, so acknowledging, analyzing briefly, and then moving on, not dwelling. That sounds incredibly hard to do when the stakes are high.
It is. It takes practice.
Does the source give more detail on how they actually build that kind of mental agility, that ability to just switch gears?
It does, yeah. And this ties into the motivation pillar. But it's not just about, wanting to win or external rewards. It's more about internal resilience. The source shows how bouncing back isn't just sheer willpower. It comes from really understanding yourself deeply.
How so?
Well, knowing the difference between, say, a real physical limit, like I genuinely cannot push harder right now, and maybe just the fear of pushing harder.
Oh, okay. That's a subtle but crucial difference.
Huge difference. They're tuned in. They know their emotional and physical boundaries. They know when it's right to push past discomfort, but also, and this is key, when they actually need to pull back, rest, prevent burnout.
Right, because burnout is a real risk.
Definitely. So it's not just physical conditioning. It's this kind of emotional conditioning that really fuels that long-term, sustained high performance.
That makes sense. The deep self-knowledge, knowing when to push, when to recover. Yeah, that's a clear advantage. But sports, especially team sports, obviously aren't just about you as an individual, right? There's a whole layer of interacting with others.
Yeah.
How does EI play out there?
Oh, absolutely critical. And that brings us neatly to the other 2 pillars, empathy and social skills. These are the interpersonal sides of EI. Think about it like a quarterback who sees a receiver is looking frustrated and knows exactly what to say, maybe non-verbally even, to get them back in the zone.
Or the team captain who can lift everyone's spirits in a tense moment.
Precisely. That's empathy, understanding the emotions of others, and social skill, knowing how to act on that understanding right there in action. The book really hammers home how vital these are for, team chemistry, sorting out disagreements, and ultimately achieving success together.
So it's not just managing your own internal state.
No.
You also have to be able to kind of read and influence the emotional climate around you.
Yeah.
How does that actually work within a team, practically speaking?
Well, it's about using that emotional radar to build trust, first off, and foster real collaboration. An athlete high in EI gets the team dynamics. They know when to step up and lead, maybe when to just support, or even when to mediate if there's friction.
Okay.
They understand that feeling safe psychologically, that shared sense of purpose, that stuff is just as important as the X's and O's, the strategy. And the source actually shares some really compelling stories of teams that maybe on paper didn't have the most raw talent,
Ugh,
but they won because their collective emotional intelligence was just off the charts. They could handle unexpected problems, they communicated brilliantly under pressure, they stayed united.
wow. That really shows the power of it beyond just individual skill. So
Yeah.
bringing this all together, what's the big takeaway for us, people not necessarily competing at that elite level?
I think the core message is that these abilities, managing our own feelings, tuning into how others feel, handling social interactions effectively, these aren't just athlete skills.
Right.
They are, as the source puts it, fundamental elements of emotional intelligence. And they are genuinely key to living a more successful and maybe more fulfilling life, period.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're on a court or in an office or just dealing with family.
So these are the skills that let you perform well under pressure in any situation, learn from your mistakes without getting derailed, and build stronger connections with people everywhere in your life. It's really about using your inner awareness to improve your outer effectiveness.
Beautifully put, yeah. And maybe here's a final thought to leave people with. The next time you find yourself watching a sporting event, or really observing anyone achieve something truly impressive in any field,
Hmm.
try looking past the obvious skill, the physical stuff.
Okay, look deeper.
Yeah. Challenge yourself. See if you can spot that quiet confidence after they mess up, or the way they handle frustration when things get tense, or just that intense focus when everything around them is chaotic.
Those subtle signs.
Exactly. Those are often the markers of high emotional intelligence. That's the real superpower, and it's a superpower that's transferable to your own life. So maybe think about how developing those same qualities, that awareness, that regulation, that empathy, could really change things for you.